So how can we tackle these complex tasks and risks? First, a multidisciplinary approach is needed. We have to develop anticipatory capabilities and policy interventions that go beyond the individual stakeholder, agency, or even country. Instead, we need to consider the full range of perspectives from various stakeholders to better understand the causal factors and interconnections so as to deal with them more effectively. One example is fighting piracy in the Gulf of Aden and off Somalia. Many countries, including those represented in this room, and Singapore, have participated in multinational forces. There's Combined Task Force 151, NATO and European task forces, while other countries act independently. There is a voluntary contact and coordination mechanism for conducting patrols, escorts, and convoying to detect, deter, and disrupt piracy in the region. But there are many links in that whole chain. And this sizable force is not sufficient to cover adequately the vast area of 1.1 million square miles, which is roughly the size of the 10 largest European NATO countries put together, including all of France, Spain, Germany, Poland, Italy, and the UK in area terms. So ship owners also need to take precautionary measures for their own protection, for example, by keeping up to date with real-time information about pirate activities to better plan their routes and avoid areas of higher pirate activity. Some ship owners and countries have also employed guards, including armed security teams on board their ships. But these are measures which address the symptoms of the problem. To address the root causes of the piracy, the international community will also have to work with local authorities ashore to strengthen governance and promote economic development in Somalia. This is, of course, a more complex problem, and various countries are beginning to address the issues ashore now, apart from the issues at sea. Second, our approach has to be adaptive. We need to constantly review and renew our strategies and responses because the risks confronting us are dynamic and new developments can easily render our solutions obsolete. Singapore's national climate change strategy reflects such an approach. We are currently reviewing our existing measures to enhance our resilience towards climate change. For example, we have made plans to protect our coasts and to improve our drainage. Singapore's coastal reclamation sites were previously required to be at least a minimum of 1.25 meters above the highest recorded historical tide levels. So 1.25 meters is about somewhere here. For new reclamation projects, this has now been raised by an additional 1 meter to safeguard against projected sea level rises by the year 2100. So that's about there. That's still not a lot. We are as concerned about climate change causing a shortage of water as a result of longer dry spells as we are about inundation by more intense storms. Basically, if you look at the weather patterns over the last 100 years or so, it's not clear whether you can apply them linearly to the future or whether something non-linear is happening and you have to take a different set of forecasting mechanisms in order to try and figure out what's happening in the future. To increase the resilience of Singapore's water supply, our water agency, the Public Utilities Board, has developed a diversified water supply strategy through the 4 national taps. So that's to try to address the possibility of there not being enough water. But at the same time, we also have to address the possibility of there being too much water. So we're planning also for drainage solutions in case there's a sort of more intense episodes of rainfall. But that's not all, because tackling climate change has to be an ongoing process, taking into account changing circumstances. So to assess the adaptation measures needed in the longer term, we are conducting a risk map study, which will be completed by next year, to identify specific coastal areas at risk of inundation and the associated expected damage. So third, international collaboration. International collaboration is essential for effective response to complex issues. Improvements in transport and communications have made it easier for people, goods, and funds to move across borders. But these improvements also support criminal activities, such as illegal drug transactions and money laundering. Because crime does not recognize national borders, and indeed will often exploit them, the lacuna between them, enforcement agencies in different countries must work together in order to fight transnational crime. A good example is the new Interpol Global Complex for Innovation, which will open in Singapore in 2014. Of course, complex here takes on a slightly different meaning than the complexities that we're talking about, but there is a sort of interrelationship because it sort of characterizes the types of problems that we're dealing with today, very complex, which requires different kinds of disciplines and different groups of people from different parts of the world to be located together in a complex to solve these complexities. So it will carry out research and development and build up new capabilities such as digital forensics. This facility will also allow enforcement officers around the world to share real-time criminal data, analyze cyber threats and trends, and work more closely together when fighting new types of crime, including transnational crime and cybercrime. So your participation in AppsNo today is a good indication that you see the necessity and value of working together across countries and agencies to deal with a more dynamic and complex risk landscape. And the landscape is really limitless because there's so many different things that you can consider. So we need to find a way of thinking about them and structuring them, and this seminar, the discussions that you have, will assist us, each of us, to try to bring some order to something which is inherently disorderly. We need to revisit issues periodically, broaden our horizons by sharing perspectives, and constantly challenge our mental models so that we can be better prepared for that future. AppsNo provides a useful platform to bring together senior officials from the Asia-Pacific region to start conversations and build relationships that will strengthen in the years to come. I wish all of you a meaningful and enjoyable mutual learning experience in the week ahead. Thank you very much.